Matchday 6 is in the books. Today, groups A and B played game two in their three-game stretch. And a lot of games today. One that a lot of people around us, at least, have been hyping up for a little bit, USA England. But some other games as well. Iran versus Wales. Iran beating them 2-0 and two extra time goals. Ecuador could play dominating the Netherlands squad. And then, of course, Qatar being the first host nation to leave the group stage or leave the World Cup after two games. So lots to unpack today. Before we get to it, I just want to say thank you for the support recently. Please consider subscribing. We're on the road to 100 by the end of the year, 20 away. So if you guys want to help us out with that, that'd be greatly appreciated. And yeah, so we'll just start off with the main game of the day. I think the one that most people were talking about, most I was looking forward to, USA England, a 0-0 draw for Group B, which means a lot for the other three countries other than England. Dale, your thoughts on the game today?
I thought the U.S. was surprisingly good. I think I don't know. I want to say that this is more a factor of England playing bad than the U.S. playing well. But I don't want to still. I still don't want to take away from the fact that the U.S. still played pretty well. Obviously, the
Yeah,
finishing wasn't exactly there, and to be honest, in the second half, neither team really did that great. But nonetheless, I think it was still one of those that the U.S. probably could have been a little upset that they didn't come away with a 3 points there. But England, disappointing, disappointing.
yeah.
I think we can all agree. And I was just telling you about this stat, and I say it to the audience now. Um, England have had 12 goalless draws in World Cup at the World Cup, which is the most of any nation in the history of the World Cup. Goes to show you that they are not strangers to ugly, non-existent attacking
Performances.
football.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and and we saw that today. The attackers were off it. Sterling was nowhere to be seen. Mount should have been taken off 20 minutes in, but that didn't happen. Saka and Kane had their moments, but still struggled. Uh, Maguire was man of the match for England. Never thought I'd say that before,
No, yeah,
but
it's very surprising. But I mean, if you watch the game, that's not surprising at all.
no, no, he actually went very. He actually had a very important header to stop a free header off a corner for the U.S. I remember thinking. I think it was Tim Ream or Zimmerman. They look exactly the same. One of them
Right.
was in open space and about to go for a header, and Maguire out of nowhere just pops up and heads it clear. It was an important clearance, and I was impressed with his overall performance. But if Harry Maguire is getting man of the match, and nothing against Harry Maguire, well, actually a lot against Harry Maguire, but nothing against him in this game. If he's winning man of the match, like you didn't have the greatest game.
That says something. I mean, I think
Yeah.
in general, like not to, I don't want to, crap on defenders here, but if your defender's winning
Right.
man of the match, like what does that say about how much the ball is getting to that defender for him to win man
Yeah.
of the match?
True.
Um,
That's a good point.
right?
Yeah.
So, but again, I think this is the one time where we'll show our respect to Harry Maguire,
Yeah.
for his
Yeah.
performance because God knows we all hate him. So, or we haven't given him the respect before that um, a player at that level might deserve. But I will say,
Yeah.
for the U.S. team at least, I think the midfield is
Hmm.
set
Oh
even
yeah.
for the next World Cup.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Tyler Adams has been nonstop action, nonstop success this whole World Cup. I
Phenomenal.
mean, two games, of course, right? But still, he's been like the talk on a lot of people's minds. Weston McKennie played well today. He should have had a goal.
Yeah.
He very simple tap in, but it's okay. Um, Yunus Musa also played really well. A lot of people, his name is in the conversation for a great players like Stu Holden in particular. Um, celebrated his well. So I think it's really cool to see the midfield being so well balanced, so set, especially for the next World Cup. Like I think Weston McKennie, I think is going to be 28, 27. Tyler Adams is going to be I think 27. Yunus Musa is going to be I don't know, I want to say 20, 23, 24 ish. So, yeah, I found it right here. In 2026, Musa will be 23, Tyler Adams 27, McCann 28. Not only does that set you up for the next World Cup, it pretty much sets you up for the World Cup after as well, with a more experienced
True.
midfield. So, I think it's a really good showing for the USA in a game that, despite the hype, a lot of people thought we were going to be steamrolled by,
Yeah.
our former colonial rulers per se there, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a great game overall. Weston, I think USA more so than England deserved to come out with 3 points. I think it's
Yeah.
pretty easy for everyone to agree with. And reiterating what you said, the England attackers were abysmal today,
Hmm.
absolutely abysmal. Um, I I do want to make a note on the level of coaching today. Two like managers for their clubs who historically have gotten probably more hate than love. Rightfully so. I mean, we even
Hmm.
last game, Greg Berhalter for the USA kind of threw the game away in the second half because of his managing. Gareth Southgate making some questionable choices in the lineup as well as the substitutions.
Jordan
I want to talk
Henderson.
about that too. Right, Jordan Henderson. He substitutes Jack Grealish in over Phil Foden, which I don't
Yeah.
understand why. Phil Foden has the power to change
Ah.
the game. Not to say Jack Grealish isn't a good player, but Phil Foden just brings the energy that you need right there. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, very questionable from both sides. More so Gareth this time, and I think he definitely deserves the you know discussion. And
Yeah.
if I'm being honest, I give it 2 years, and neither of these managers are in their posts.
2 years. That seems like a long time for Gareth.
I don't know. I think for Gareth at least, I think it depends on who's available. Um,
Mm.
Primarily being, I think Thomas Tuchel. If Thomas Tuchel is still available and wants to do the job, and will accept the offer now, then they'll switch right now. But let's say he accepts an offer somewhere else, then who are they going to grab? So that's the only reason for me per se. But I think we're not going to see Gareth in the next Euros. We're not going to see um, Greg Berhalter for the next major tournament. So yeah, I don't know. That's what I have to say about the managing there. But overall, good game. Boring game, kind of. But I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I know no draw is, I would say, pretty appropriate.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Like I said, I think what's his name? Haji Wright.
Mm,
I think he was an interesting pick, and
mm-hmm,
I see where he was going with it. I understand. 6'4",
mm-hmm.
tall, has a lot of passion, likes to run, and so you knew you wanted someone who could win headers and really work the box and the defenders in it. But I don't think it worked out. If we're being honest, completely, I think
Mm-hmm.
the play came better from the wingers. Pulisic probably was the best attacker,
Yeah,
and
by far.
so I think I've been hearing people say maybe start moving Timothy Weah as a striker. We saw he had a good eye for goal in the game against Wales, and I think maybe play either Rayner or Brendan Emerson at right wing. I think you have two excellent players that are kind of being wasted only playing 20, 30 minutes.
I agree.
Uh, I think playing one of them at right wing and then having Weah at striker could be your answer because Sargent's nice. Haji Wright has his moments, but I think Weah probably has the best potential to really
The
shine
knack
right
for a
now.
goal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, honestly, like
So,
when they released the team sheets, I was a little shocked that neither Aronson nor Reyna were put into the side. Personally, because I think Brendan plays in the Premier League, right? He plays against a lot of these players
yeah.
and alongside a lot of players. He has the chemistry with Tyler Adams, and I don't know why he's not being put in.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe he's more of an attacking mid, right? So I think it could be for Greg at least. There's not a role that he thinks Brendan suits very well to start. Um, so I don't know, but like I said, I was very shocked that he wasn't in, just on a pure experience level. I think he needs to play here. Um, it worked out in the end, I guess, for us. But you're right, they are being wasted, and I'd rather see them being put in the team right now before Greg changes his mind, and hopefully we're in the knockout stages, and then it's just a completely different team, right? Because
Hmm.
you want to have a set team going through, because chemistry wise, you want to know how they play together. But if you need to test now before you get to the knockout stages, or else that team that you want to play is not going to play the game that you want them to play because of the lack of
Right.
experience with each other. So yeah. But I definitely agree with you. Timothy Way should be put, in front compared to everyone else. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of our attacking um, prospects and capabilities. I think like we know what Christian Pulisic could do. I have no I have no fault with that, but it's just everyone else. It's just so like up in the air. Like even today we then we should have scored.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so like it's fine for us right now because we're still in it. But at some point, that's going to be the downfall of the team, given that we make it to that point.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, I will. Before we move on to the next game, I want to say one thing at the end. Um, I don't know, like the last kick, we had a free kick, and we don't send the
Oh my
ball in.
god.
What
Oh
are you
my
doing?
god.
Okay, I understand the thought process, right? There's a play set, and you rather go for the cross in from the side or a low cross because
Mhm.
USA hadn't won any headers all day in the box. That's Harry Maguire's domain right there. We just
Mhm.
couldn't compete with it. So I understand the idea of maybe going short or going different rather than sending it in. But what do you have to lose? Just who knows what happens with the ball there? What
Yeah.
if Maguire heads it wrong and it lands at the foot of a player and he just kicks it in? Oh my god, it was so frustrating, and I got
Yeah.
secondhand embarrassment just from being American. Oh my god, the highest level I ever played at was freaking Frosh soccer as a sophomore, and I know how to do that. It was
Yeah. No,
so
I was
frustrating.
disappointed.
It
Mhm.
was so frustrating. You're just like, okay, final
Considering
shout. Who
cons-
knows?
considering the fact too that England just had a free kick before that, they sent it in, and Kane barely missed the target
Oh
with his
my
header.
god, he should have scored that. He really should have
He
scored
should have
that.
scored
You,
that.
you think you learn? Like you think they will learn? At least
Yeah.
try. There's no chance of counterattack because the ref probably won't allow it. Oh my god, it was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Ugh,
No, I'm with you there. Yeah.
Jesus. Okay, all right. We'll move on to let's talk about the Iran Wales game. Stick with the group. I don't know if you watched
Sounds
it, but
good.
I watched it, which is so we have that at least. The whole way through, that was one of the most sorry performances I've seen from a team in this World Cup so far by Wales. That was complete and utter disappointment. The amount of times the commentators were even talking about it, how this team, like, there was no link between the defense and the attack. The midfield were in shambles. The amount of times I heard Ramsey talk about Aaron Ramsey kicking the ball too far or out of bounds was so sad. They couldn't get anything going. Iran hit the post like twice in a matter of like a minute and should have scored those. Oh my god, it was so disappointing for Wales. And as an American, I'm disappointed because I feel like if we played this Wales team, we would have killed them. Why didn't we get this Wales team? And I don't know. I don't know what the manager's doing. I don't know what he switched around. If he just kept the team in the exact same way that he did in the second half of the first game, they would have been fine.
Yeah.
But complete shambles. No, it seemed like no communication. The defense was tired by the end. There was just nothing happening. Also, keeper got a red card, which is big, rightfully so. I mean, he had to put himself on the line for it, and he did, right? Which brings it into a okay. I'll get to this afterwards, but Iran scores two in the final minutes of the game, which they deserve. It was a great goal to take the lead. And deserved. If Iran walks away with a draw there, oh my god, that would have been so disappointing for Iran. That would have been so disappointing. This was passionate for me. I was sitting in my bed at 3:45 in the morning, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Iran definitely deserved the win. Puts the entire group. It makes it a little more interesting. Makes the game on Tuesday against the USA very interesting. One complaint I have about Wales, they're playing I think Wayne Hennessy in goal, who's the backup at Crystal Palace, I think,
Hmm.
I believe, and they're not playing. What's his name? I can't even think of his name. The goalkeeper that came on when he came off, but he's a starter for Leicester since Kasper Schmeichel left. Why are you starting Wayne Hennessy?
Oh, Danny
And
Ward. Yeah.
Danny Ward, thank you. And not to say that Hennessy's playing bad. He didn't play bad. He made a really good save at 60th, 70th minute to stop Iran from taking the lead. And he hasn't been playing bad, but he did get the red card, and it just brings into question. Like I said, why are they not playing a keeper who's had more experience at the club level? Um, yeah, I don't know. I thought that was really interesting to think about.
Wayne Hennessy is actually playing for Nottingham Forest, by the way, just to clarify.
Nottingham, sorry, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Thank you, but still, it bugs me. For Wales, I'm not a Welsh fan, not a Welsh person, but if this is the first time in the World Cup in how many years? Decades. It's been decades, and you're putting on this performance, and it's like you don't have the quality, but they rely too much on certain things. Gareth Bale is not the player he once was. We know that he's not even doing much
Hmm.
in the MLS. Like, uh, Aaron Ramsey, he plays for Nice. He's been abysmal. At least that game, he was pretty terrible when he came off. It's just I feel bad. I feel bad for the Welsh fans because I let them down like
Yeah.
insanely.
Wales, okay, from what I understand from Wales, and like you said, I'm not a Welsh fan either, but they like to play a defensive game. They like
Right.
to be structured, and when they break, then they rely on guys like Gareth Bale to make that moment count on the break, and really just kind of finish the game off in that instance. But they like to make sure that they're defensively solid first, which means, and I thought this was interesting, that this means two things. First thing is you got when you're not doing that well, especially when Bale is nearing the end of his career, and you
Mm-hmm.
don't have that game changer to really make it count and that quality, you're going to struggle big time. And especially when your
Mm-hmm.
midfield is, that we say, very, very poor, it's going to look horrible. And
Mm-hmm.
their defensive structure means that they have never conceded more than one goal in a World Cup match until that game. Now,
Mm-hmm.
admittedly, they hadn't been in the World Cup since 1960 something, so it's been a long time.
Right.
But my point is, they like to be structured defensive first, and I saw the highlights. Um, Wells had one good chance, like in the beginning, and that was it. And
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the game, Iran just counterattacked and attacked and just did everything they could, and then eventually got in the end. But yeah, it was like the way Wales are working, trying to do their thing. It relied
Yeah.
heavily on Gareth Bale, for being honest.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
he,
happening
he
anymore.
he's not a player to rely on anymore. And like,
No.
it also brings into question on the selection choices of that game. Daniel James didn't start, which they so desperately needed someone quick to get the attack going and to get
Hmm.
past the defense, right? And everyone can catch up to him. Brennan Johnson keeps coming off the bench, who's a young talent, needs to be starting, in my opinion. They're so content with just sitting there and like standing still, and they need these players that are just gonna literally blitz past the defense and just get through them, at least in some way, shape, or form. Um, yeah, I don't know. Overall, I'm just very disappointed in the Wales team. Happy as an American, but I don't know. You want them to do more. You think they can do more. They did good against USA in the second half, at least. Like they turned it
Hmm.
around. So
Yeah.
you thought there was gonna be something. And I not to not give any credit to Iran. Iran played a fantastic game. They played their game. They played passionately because the loss would have meant they're out. Um, but I think to me, Wales is a team that should be beating Iran, and they got absolutely demolished. Just disappointing. But I'm going to use it as a segue to go to another game where a certain team should have won on paper by far, and they got absolutely demolished stats wise, not score wise. Netherlands versus Ecuador.
Hmm. Hmm. Oh.
Ecuador had their way with Netherlands, and their
Oh.
Netherlands are fortunate to get out of with a draw.
So fortunate.
Eder Valencia being another cult hero, another streets hero here, um, with 3 goals. Netherlands is so disappointing from them, and I don't know. Like
I
on paper, they're a strong team.
They are, and I'll be honest. I'm not going to shy away from this. I had Netherlands as my European favorite coming into this tournament. If
Mm,
I said if there was a European team winning this, it was Netherlands because I thought on paper they were the most consistent and the strongest team. I do not believe that anymore. This team, look, okay. There's two things I want to talk about specifically. I want to talk about Louis van Gaal,
mm,
and I want to talk about the Netherlands lineup, which is related to Louis van Gaal. So Louis van Gaal, he has been an interesting manager. He had
mm-hmm.
a poor time with United, um, and that was like his big thing, right? That was like the biggest club he's probably been at, and he did not do well. He did not
Right.
fare well, and just had a tough time. He was at Bayern Munich, and I think he did well at Bayern Munich. I wasn't following football at the time because this was back in like 2009, 2010.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, let's be honest, it's Bayern Munich. It's a surprise when they don't do well.
Yep.
Um, and I think I've seen a lot of Dutch fans say that Louis van Gaal is kind of showing his weaknesses as a manager in this tournament now. He has a very specific system: three at the back, wing backs, two forwards, and then some midfield, depending on what players he has at disposal. It's not working. It's not
Nope.
working. And I want to talk about that lineup now, which is due with the formation. You're playing Cody Gakpo at striker. It's not his main position. It's not his favorite position, and yet he's still balling. He's lucky he's still doing well because
Mhm.
otherwise
Mhm.
they'd be in serious trouble. Frankie De Jong, who's one of their best players, he won man of the match, which was I don't even know how FIFA got that because he's been pretty by his standards. I love Frankie De Jong. I think he's a very very well top player and world class player. But by his standards,
Agreed.
he's been poor. Besides that one assist, he hasn't been
Yeah.
what we know he can do.
Right.
Uh, and Van Dijk and the back line have been fine. I mean, they haven't been crazy good. Yes, they've only conceded one goal in 2 games, but Ecuador could have scored more. I mean, they a bit more clinicality in that attack, and they scored more.
Right.
I think the Dutch just, I don't know, man. I think they something's off. The tactics. I want to say the tactics because it's not the quality. They have the players.
Oh,
We
they
know
have
how
the
good they
players by
can be.
far. Yes.
Yeah, it's these tactics, and I think Louis van Gaal has to change something up, or he's facing a early exit.
Mhm.
Even if they make out of the group stage, he's not beating one of the better teams.
No.
Um,
No.
and so I don't know. I guess we'll see how they go. But Ecuador, I forget the Dutch. Ecuador, my God, this team. I didn't know how good they were. I
Yeah.
did not know.
No one did.
I don't
No
think
one
many
did.
people knew. Yeah.
No. No one did. The only thing I knew about them going into it was they have nice kits. I'll be honest. Like that's all I
Yeah.
knew. That's all I really like
Yeah.
thought about or cared about. But they've showed up. And before they play in Qatar, right? It's Qatar. They're already
Mhm.
eliminated. It's good, Um, and it's like, okay, right? What are they? They're playing against the worst team in the tournament. What are they going to do against a big team? And they played this big team, a favorite to win by far, to top
Mhm.
the division, the group by far, and they have their way with them. Ecuador had 15 shots compared to Netherlands 2. You
Oh
know
my
how
God.
how big of a difference that is?
That's
Uh,
crazy.
uh, I love it. I love seeing smaller nations you wouldn't think about that much, and killing it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also want to give a shout out. Like I said, Frankie De Jong won the man of the match by FIFA. Don't know how. I want to give a shout out to. There's a lot of great players in Ecuador. I mean, we could talk about their code hero in Ener Valencia.
Hmm.
We could talk about their midfield of Moises Caicedo and I forget the second guy's name. The guy from LAFC. Um,
Cifuentes?
but no, there's another one.
Palacios?
Um, Mendes.
Oh, Mendez. Yeah, young guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So they were excellent as well. But I want to give a shout out to Pervis Estupinian. For me, man of the
Mm,
match. His shot led to the tap in from Valencia. He was
hmm.
bombing down that flank the entire time. Dumfries had to keep a hold of him and really use his physicality. Um, he was excellent. He was excellent all game. Just like would just run up and down and
Hmm.
constantly just a constant threat. And actually, pointing to the physicality, Ecuador. I noticed this, especially the first half. They
Hmm.
were so physical with the Dutch,
They
so
were.
physical. But I was talking to this with my family as well. They weren't physical to the point where they were getting yellow cards. They were
Yeah.
riding that line that was to perfection. Physical
Yeah.
enough to disrupting the Dutch, getting them off their flow, their rhythm, but not getting carded. Nothing too heavy, nothing too crazy. Just enough to make sure that they couldn't get anything going, and it was the perfect game plan. Honestly, phenomenal. I don't know who. Okay, hold on. I gotta look up Ecuador's manager because I was so impressed with their strategy. Gustavo
I,
Alfaro,
yeah.
what a man! What a man!
I mean, like, Ecuador, regardless of if they move on or not, is going to be one of those
Yeah.
teams we're going to remember for a little bit for the passion and heart they played with.
Hmm.
Speaking of moving on, I'll mention the standings after this. So, through 2 games, right, 1 game left. Netherlands is top with 4. Ecuador is second with 4. Same goal difference for both of them. Senegal is third with 3 points, and of course, Qatar has 0. So, Ecuador versus Senegal I think that's on Tuesday, right? Ecuador versus
Hmm.
Senegal is going to be a big game because Senegal, it's a U.S. Iran situation. Senegal needs to beat Ecuador to move on. Ecuador just needs to not lose. Um, oh my God, that game's going to be big, and
It's gonna be big. Yeah.
I'm excited. And going into this, I would have been like Senegal the whole way through. Now I'm Ecuador. Uh, Today I feel Ecuadorian, and Tuesday I'll feel Ecuadorian. Uh, um, so yeah, that's going to be a good game for sure.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then we'll just briefly mention Senegal Qatar. Not much to
Hmm.
mention. Senegal won. Qatar is the first host of the World Cup to be out after 2 games. Did we expect anything different? No, not at all. So Yeah, like I said, not much news there. Senegal, doing solid even without their star Sadio Mane. So yeah, Tuesday, like I said, it'll be a very, very, very fun match day with U.S. Iran and Ecuador Senegal. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's it for today. I guess we'll move on to the predictions for tomorrow briefly. Uh, I'll go over the
Oof.
games. For Group C, Poland, Saudi Arabia. And the game of the day for me is Argentina, Mexico. After that one, Group D is Tunisia, Australia, and France, Denmark, which should also be a good game. France, Denmark should be a good game of
Yeah.
the two favorites in the group. Um, but Argentina, Mexico.
Hmm.
I don't know. I want to say Argentina is going to win, and I think they are. I think they will have switched around from the first game against Saudi Arabia. If they don't, they're in shambles. But I'm going to Argentina with a 2-0. I've been giving a lot of threes out, but there hasn't been that many goals scored this year in each games. So I'm going 2-0
Yeah.
Argentina.
Okay. So here's the thing. Argentina, if they do not win this, they are almost, well, depending on how the Poland Saudi Arabia game goes out, but they're riding that line of not making it out, which would be one of the biggest. Like, I mean, they were the majority's favorite, and if they
Yeah,
don't get, they need to win this. So I have a feeling Mexico will unfortunately see the wrath of Argentina at their best. That Argentina that we
right,
know what they can do.
right.
So I will have to say probably a 2-0 win for Argentina. Um, but
Yeah.
I also I am half Mexican, so I do not I cannot without good faith give Mexico a chance and say that I think it's not a done deal yet.
Agreed.
Like we'll have to see.
Agreed. So then we'll just move on to the games. Poland, Saudi Arabia. Honestly, this game could go either way to me. I don't even know.
Yeah, like
I don't
the thing
know.
is Saudi Arabia like was that just one of those where this was like a upset of the century, or are they really like better than we all think? Like I don't know. I
Right,
really don't.
right. I don't know if you saw there's a video of their manager at halftime. And
Yes,
oh my
what a
god,
guy.
the talk that he gives to Saudi Arabia that leads to them winning 2-1 after being down 1-0. The
Oh
things he tells them, and he's just like Messi's alone calling for the ball, and you're
mhm.
not even running past or towards him. Like you might as well take your phone out and take a selfie with him. Like, just things like that. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so
yeah,
great, and so you can't count Saudi Arabia out like 99% of the world did before the World Cup
right.
started. So I don't know. I really can't see a favorite here. I'm going 1-1.
1-1. I
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm gonna go 1-0 Saudi Arabia.
That's big.
I think they pull another one. I think Poland are good, but they're not. I don't know. I think as a team they aren't as strong as they would like to be. While I think
Right.
Saudi Arabia individually may not match Poland, especially with like Lewandowski and other players like that. But as a team, we saw what they can do. And come on, you saw that video. Like, how could I deny that guy's management ability? I can't. I
He,
can't.
he he doesn't even speak the language. He doesn't even speak Arabic. He has a translator
No.
with him for the people that
Yeah.
understand, and he's still motivating these players. And
Yeah.
if Saudi Arabia win, it puts them on 6 points, and that's huge. Because if
Mhm.
they were to win tomorrow, Poland's on 1 point still. Depending on the Mexico Argentina game, if they draw, that's 2 points for Mexico, 1 point for Argentina. Um, okay, here if Saudi Arabia wins and Mexico Argentina draw, Saudi Arabia qualifies
That's crazy.
mathematically.
Wow.
That's crazy. Qualified, not just qualifies for top of the group. That's so unexpected. But I guess we'll just have to see tomorrow. Um,
Yeah.
Australia, Tunisia. Tunisia
Mm.
did I don't want to say did bits versus Denmark, but they held them to a draw.
Yeah.
Australia definitely is an easier opponent. I personally am not too well familiar with either to be confident enough in what I'm going to say.
Right.
Um, I don't know. As a result of that, I'm going to go. That's tomorrow's no draw. It seems like every day we've had one. So yeah. So I'm going a no for Tunisia Australia. for lack
I
of a
think
better judgment.
I neither of these teams are great, but Tunisia was more impressive than Australia was, which isn't,
Mhm.
I don't know, it's not the best way to measure a team, and I don't like doing it, but I also don't
Mhm.
have much else to do to base it off of. So considering that Tunisia was more impressive against Denmark than, and I mean, like I said, it is France, but considering just the games that did happen, I'm gonna have to say I think 0-0 is fair, but
Mhm.
I'll go 1-0 Tunisia. Um,
Okay.
but I don't want to anger the Aussies out there because I'm not I don't. This is a very completely no. I have no information on either team to make a
Right.
fair judgment. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, definitely fair judgment. Then France Denmark. My
Oh,
second game of the day tomorrow.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I going into the World Cup, I'd be very happy to say that Denmark is going to win this. They're going to move on, things like that. Despite the injuries, France still honestly looks like for me. It's France and Brazil that have been the two most France, Brazil, and Spain that have been the
Right.
three teams that have been like, yeah, we were right about them, or they
Yeah.
deserve the respect at the start of this World Cup. So 3-1 France.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think we both agreed that Denmark were going to finish first in those predictions we did,
Yeah.
and I really like Denmark, and I do think they are a strong team. But goddamn, did France look impressive? And yes, it was Australia, but
Hmm.
still, Mbappe looked unstoppable. Giroud was at his absolute finest. Even Dembele looked good. Um,
Hmm.
Adrian Rabiot was surprisingly good.
He
I don't know,
was.
man. I, I wanna give Denmark a chance. I want to say they play tight and they keep it tight and they come out with a 1-1 draw. But
Hmm.
I'm not super hopeful. But that's what I'm going with. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, so no official score prediction, but
No, 1-1 draw. So
oh,
that's what I
sorry,
said.
1-1 draw. Yeah, okay, all right,
Yeah.
all right, good. Yeah, well, I guess we'll see how those pan out. The day after is going to be a good game. Sunday, Spain Germany play. That's gonna be a hell of a
Oof.
game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Croatia Canada as well. I think is gonna be a great game to
Oh,
watch.
Croatia can't. Oh my
Um,
gosh. Oh my.
yeah, the other two, Japan Costa Rica, and then Belgium Morocco. That's the 2 o'clock
Okay.
and 5 o'clock for us. Um, so yeah. Well, there goes another day of the World Cup that honestly has been more
Mhm.
entertaining than I thought it was gonna be. Can never really count that out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've made it to this point. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you have not. Like the video if you have not. Again, we're trying for 100 subscribers, so please help us out if you can. I'm just gonna join us today, sadly, but hopefully he'll be here for another episode if he's your favorite. Just kidding. Just kidding. um, so yeah, so thank you guys for watching. We'll see you hopefully the next match day. If not, then whenever we're available. And yeah, see you guys next time.